So, what if I told you that a 400-year-old samurai principle could solve one of your biggest problems today? I'm talking about that feeling of being completely overwhelmed. Well, it all starts with a paradox, a mental puzzle that separated the legendary warriors from the ones who fell on the battlefield. Let's dig into this because it might just change how you face your own battles. Okay, picture this. Feudal Japan. The year is 1615. A Zen master poses this riddle to a student. It sounds totally wrong, right? But the answer, well, it holds the key to everything. Not just combat, but mastering your own mind. The moment you try to fight 10 battles at once, you've already lost the one that's right in front of you. And this is where it gets real for you and me. Because, let's be honest, you're probably facing 10 battles right now. Your career, your relationships, your health, trying to figure out your finances, your future. Each one is like an enemy screaming for your attention. And trying to fight them all at the same time, that is exactly why we so often feel like we're losing. To really get the solution, we need to meet a young samurai who was stuck in this exact trap. His name was Takeshi. And back in 1615, he was failing, not because his body wasn't good enough, but because his mind was a complete mess. See, here's the thing about Takeshi. Technically, the guy was a genius with a sword. He was fast, he was precise, his forms were absolutely perfect. But inside his head, it was a totally different story. It was a battlefield of fear, tension, and just crippling overthinking. All that physical perfection, it meant nothing, because his mind was fractured into a dozen pieces. And his master, Yamamoto, he saw it crystal clear. He didn't tell Takeshi to practice his swordplay more. No, he gave him this just devastating diagnosis. Your mind is in 10 places. It's not about the sword, kid. It's about your focus. Until Takeshi could conquer that scattered mind, he would never, ever be a true warrior. So, how do you even begin to train a mind that's in 10 places at once? Well, the master's lesson didn't start in the dojo with a sword. It started with something way more ordinary and, as it turns out, way more powerful. The master introduced Takeshi to this core idea, Shoshin. It means beginner's mind. Think about it for a second. When a total beginner picks up a sword, they aren't worried about winning or losing, right? They're just focused on the feel of the grip, their stance, that one single moment. That's the goal, to empty your mind of everything except what is right here, right now. So for the next 30 days, this was Takeshi's only training. And at first, it was a real struggle. His mind was just screaming that sweeping floors or eating a meal slowly was a total waste of time. But then came the shift. Just a tiny little gap of silence in his meditation that proved, whoa, it is possible. And finally, it clicked. In a sparring match, his body just moved. No thinking, no planning, just responding from a place of pure awareness. He wasn't trying to fight anymore. The fight was just flowing through him. Now here's the really cool part. What the samurai figured out through pure intuition 400 years ago, we can now prove with modern science. This isn't just some spiritual concept. It's a trainable skill that physically rewires your brain. You see, every single time Takeshi brought his focus back to the present moment, he was literally deactivating his brain's mind-wandering network. At the same time, he was strengthening his prefrontal cortex. Think of it as the CEO of the brain that controls focus. And he was weakening the grip of the amygdala, the brain's fear center. He was basically building an immovable mind, one neuron at a time. Okay, so with this new foundation, Takeshi was ready. He was ready for 2 massive transformations that would push his newfound presence to the absolute limit. So for his final exam, Takeshi has to face his master. Takeshi gets a wooden practice sword. But his master? He's holding a real razor-sharp katana. The pressure is just immense. One tiny mistake isn't just failure, it's death. This is the ultimate test of staying in the moment. In the middle of the duel, the master intentionally leaves a huge, obvious opening. Now, the old Takeshi, the one driven by ego and fear, would have lunged at it, desperate to score a point. But the new Takeshi, the one who was totally grounded in the present, he saw the truth. It was a trap. So he waited. He showed restraint. And in that moment of not acting, he passed the test. The master's lesson was so profound. True victory isn't about winning every little point. It's about having the wisdom to know which battles you should just avoid entirely. Takeshi had learned not just to be present,
but to be wise.
But that was only the first transformation. His master then sends him to a Zen monastery on Mount Koya for a whole year. No swords, just meditation. He went from learning presence in a fight to learning presence in absolute stillness. He learned to just watch his thoughts, like clouds in the sky, without getting swept away by them. And his final test there wasn't a duel. It was to face a group of bandits, all alone, and just handle the situation.
I mean, really picture this. Takeshi, completely unarmed, walks out to meet 5 angry, armed samurai. He doesn't challenge them, he doesn't threaten them, he just stands there, utterly present, calm, and grounded. His weapon wasn't made of steel. It was his unshakable inner peace. And this is the ultimate lesson of the whole story. His presence was so powerful it was like a mirror. In his calm, the bandits saw their own anger. In his lack of fear, they saw how pointless their violence was. They saw their own forgotten honor reflected back at them. And they just left. Takeshi didn't defeat them. His presence transformed the entire conflict. This whole journey, from a flawed student to a master of presence, it contains the final lesson for all of us. You can see the whole path of mastery right here. A beginner, they only think about the outcome. How can I win? The advanced warrior shifts their focus to the process. How can I be present? But the true master, they reach a level where their presence is so complete that the conflict just dissolves. They realize, in true presence, there is no fight.
And it all rests on these 3 pillars. Shoshin, the beginner's mind, keeps you open and focused. Zanshin, that's the understanding that this isn't just for a duel. Life is the real arena. You have to stay aware. And Fudoshin, the immovable mind. That's the result of it all, an inner peace so deep that nothing on the outside can disturb it.
And so the story comes full circle. 10 years later, it's Master Takashi running the dojo. And when a new anxious student shows up, what's the first lesson? Not the sword. He hands him a broom. The real training, the most important training, starts with learning how to be fully present in the simplest of moments.
So the ultimate lesson for the samurai and for us is that skills and strategies, they're secondary. The real weapon is your ability to be fully present for the one battle in front of you, right here and right now. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it?